What's special about this vocal booth is this is something I built from the ground up. This vocal booth actually has a story. How y'all doing, everybody? This is Ray of RebelEars.com with another episode of the Rebel Ears podcast. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm not in my area that I'm normally at. Today, I'm in a vocal booth. This vocal booth started in 2007 because in Riverdale High School, I was just a student when I started interacting with a few like-minded individuals who were artists and a producer, and we was in need of an engineer, and I took that role. It was Jay Nolan, Osiris, Young B the producer, and then I was, back then, Propaganda. Back then, I used to go by Propaganda the engineer because, you know, around that time in high school, they was coming by the house in Shadow Forest that my parents had. In my closet, I had blankets stapled all over the walls, and I had a mic stand and a MXL 990 microphone. Now, back then, I had what this digital multi-tracker was a Fostech MR8. Now, this is one of my favorites. If I can find it, I want to purchase it. It's like a collector's item for me now. But back then, it was a digital multi-tracker. I think it had 8 channels, and we were just learning it. And I remember they used to come through weekly, every weekend, just recording in the closet. And I remember Jay Nolan, out of all of us, he was the one, he was learning how to record. He was learning how to mix early on. And I remember I used to just fall asleep at the computer. I wake up, he's still recording. And it's just, you know, what manifested to this day, because in high school, we used to give out the mixtapes back then. We had the physical copies, you know, CDs, and we used to print out the cover art in the library, so many copies. Then I remember when it came to, you know, passing them out, we used to advertise them with shoestrings around our neck with the CD on it. If you look at our Riverdale High School, you'll see Jay Nolan with the, I forgot which mixtape it was, but he had it around his neck when he won Most Likely to Succeed. Back then, it was just funny seeing, you know, drawing the cover art, having them come by the studio every weekend, engagement. It got to the point that I see them all the time. Back then, I realized this is something I wanted to do. It wasn't until, I think, 2011 when I got introduced to 882 Studios. So Justin Padron, shout out to him. He is a good friend. I've known him for over 10 years now. I met Henry there, Tom P, Kato on the track, 808 Blake, Alien Craft, Cuddy Cartel, rest in peace. It was a fun event because the first time I went to 882 Studios was for a music video for Cuddy Cartel and Alien Craft. I'm trying to remember if it was Apollo 9. But shout out to Jay Blunt because he was the one who invited me to the event where I met Tom P. And then as time went by, I became his hype man, traveling, touring. It was fun moments. But at 882 Studios, I was just watching Justin Padron because he owned the house, how he was an engineer, producer. He was a rapper at one point too, but I just learned like the workflow of running a session back then because he was having artists come in, day out. He was recording on the weekends, weekdays. And back then, 882 Studios was like the center of underground music for like a lot of independent artists. I remember, I'm going to talk to Kato on the track about this when I see him on Monday. Shout out to One More Time Podcast, Henry and Ben. They had this event at Georgia State University. By the time this episode is released, it'll already be over. But I'm going to talk to Kato about a few things because he's one of the panelists for the event, and I'm going to just bring 3 pictures. Now, I'm going to get back to 882 Studios too. Now, the first picture would be a logo of SMKA. SMKA stands for Supermarket Knife Attack, and that was the label that was under Kato on the track, Justin Padron, and 808 Blake. The second image would be a cover art for this event called The Hangout. Now, it was a 3-day event. It was in 2013 where Justin, Kato, and 808 Blake had an event with like 30 different artists. They was recording, producing, mixing, all in 3 days. And that was an event I missed. Still pissed at Tom and Kevin for not letting me know about it. But I know that was something big when it came to 882 Studios because they did it all there. And then the last image would be the cover art for the album Freebasing with Kevin Bacon by Jarren Benton. Shout out to him. I remember the first time I got introduced to Kato and Jarren Benton was at Star Bar. They had a Freebasing with Kevin Bacon album release. And I remember Four Eyes perform, Alien Craft perform. It was a fun event, too. Made some friends that I still know and connect to this day. You know, even seeing that from the ground up or how they started recording artists, getting more engagement, being a part of the community, that's something that we wanted to do at Rebel Ears. Back to 882 Studios, because what I learned there was like the workflow, because they're recording all these different artists. I wasn't there for the hangout, but I saw a lot of different sessions that Justin Petrone worked on. I saw him work with Trinidad James there. I saw him work at Think It's a Game studio down Metropolitan. I remember I was intrigued for the fact that, you know, it's this one guy who lives here. He has his own work schedule. He had his own work-life balance. And I learned a lot from just watching him working with these artists, from booking sessions, engaging with the sessions. Sometimes clients are difficult, and you gotta, you know, learn how to deal with them professionally, because in the end, even though it's his house and the privacy of his home is still considered a business. And I just seen all these artists he recorded in that closet, and he's working with major artists, working out of a house that he built from the ground up. And that what made me interested in building my own vocal booth. But before I built the vocal booth, I went to school for audio engineering. Shout out to Henry, because I remember years ago, it was a conversation at his house when he was building his studio there. There was this artist. No, it wasn't an artist. I think he was either a producer or an engineer. He was talking about he went to school for audio engineering. And I wanted to learn more. So I went to SAE for audio engineering. That's where I met my business partner, YL. Shout out to him. And then in 2018, I started doing research on the blueprint of a vocal booth, the type of equipment you need to get, the type of fabric, the material, how many nails. It took months to build it. The reason why, because I had to build it by section. I didn't buy all the materials at once, but it was a fun process. I remember it was our old house in Decatur. I built it in our spare room. And I started just having wood panels and drywall on the floor. I had batches of insulations in the corner. I had nails. And, you know, it took me some time to buy these acoustic foam, because I wanted the same exact acoustic foam for the whole wall. And it took some time to do research on what would be good, and then how to have it solid and steady, because if you could hear, it's very sturdy. I wanted to make something that's going to outlast me. Honestly, I built a door on it. I built the hinges. Well, I put the hinges together. It even got a ventilation system in here. I forgot about that. I'm looking at the hole in the corner because I did research on that. It had the ventilation from the bottom. It pushed cold air in, and there's a vent up top that blows the hot air out, just for the convenience of an artist. Things like that, it took me time to do research on, but it was an interest of mine. The interest wasn't just me, it was the people who I was around and who I work with, who I appreciate to this day. Another thing about this vocal booth, I love how you can experiment with these. I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was years ago. I used to work with these two producers, Yacy Production, Sam and JoJo. We actually got a free Heartbreak beta pack that's on the website. I forgot about that. You should check it out. We worked on a sample pack. We was just doing Foleys, where you use, you know, the sound that's around you and you record it. And I remember we had a fidget spinner, and we had a little wood panel, and we just rolled the fidget spinner on the wooden panel in the vocal booth just to hear how it sound. And I remember they made a beat out of it too. I got to find out what beat it was. It was dope, but it was just an experiment that was creative because, you know, I had the space to do what I want. Right now, I can yell, but I'm not going to. There's no reason to. But it's just the option that if I'm working with a very loud individual, I don't have to worry about, you know, the bleed. Well, of course, you're going to have to adjust the input of the mic itself, but when it comes to like they want to go crazy in the vocal booth, just don't break nothing. You can be as loud as you want in here because I made it, acoustically treated. I want it to be soundproof. I want to be able to, if I want to record an artist today and give them professional quality, I know for a fact I can guarantee that. And, it was just fun knowing for the fact that this is something that I manifested that I am proud to own. And like I said, it'll outlast me because I haven't made it. Another thing, you can't see it, but this vocal booth has a plexiglass. So it's convenient if an engineer is working with an artist and the artist wants to look back and forth on if they don't have a talkback microphone. A talkback microphone is a mic that you have between whoever's in the control room, press and record, or, more than that, and the artist in the vocal booth. And it's just a way of communication. But if you don't have that, you need ways to understand what's going on, how the artist feels, if he wants to do a retake. Things like that I'm considerate of. And, it's just fun looking around how many years I had this vocal booth. I had it for over 6 years now, and it's still standing strong. I had over 100 sessions in this vocal booth. I worked on multiple projects. I had some great sessions that I recorded a lot of sessions too. I have them in my drive, working with a lot of major labels. So that was fun. This was just an episode about me being in my safe haven, my vocal booth. This might be something I start doing more often. I want to hear some comment what y'all think. Should I do more videos in the vocal booth? And if I do videos in the vocal booth, what are some things you want to hear? Do you want to hear me talk about my past sessions? Matter of fact, I want to hear your sessions. If you're an artist, producer, engineer, someone who does music, even a client, and you have some stories, leave it in a comment because in the near future, that's going to be something we're going to do while live streaming. But we're getting ready to set that up. But we want to hear how y'all feel about that because, the more y'all engage with us, the more we can produce. It's going to be a lot of content coming out in the near future. But when that event happens on Monday with the One More Time, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna see how it's gonna go. I'm gonna record the event too, so when I do talk to Kato, I'll see his reaction when we discuss those 3 images. And before you go ahead and click the like button. Let us know if you like this video or not, or the podcast. Hit the subscribe button so the next video that comes out, you'll be the first to know. And please leave a comment because you never know. Your next comment might be our next video. From everybody at Rebel Ears, want to tell everybody thank you for listening and watching. Keep tuning in.